culturally at large, you guys are well done.
So wait, so this is layered though. Black people love well done.
Or it's not
raw.
done.
Listen, when
it's
I
well done
think
or it's raw.
When I think black people, I think Tyler Perry and overcooked steak.
Episode 70.
We made it.
We made it. We made it back. I can see you wore your Christmas attire. Just kidding. You didn't. I'm sorry.
Peas and carrots.
Yeah. All right. Something
Christmas
like that.
dinner attire.
Something like that. Milam and Greene.
What's your shirt say?
What does it say? This is a...
Dear 8-pound baby Jesus. Oh, Kenny. Oh, nice. It's a good one.
Let us settle in, dude. Mm-hmm. Take it in. Take a moment with it.
Let me read it as the prayer. Sit up a little bit. I'm gonna read it as if I were, dear 8-pound, 6-ounce newborn infant Jesus. Do you even know?
Don't even know a word yet. Thank you for all your power and your grace.
I can't see it.
Talladega Nights, baby.
Talladega Nights. What a classic.
Yeah. Kind of have a little fun.
Dear
A little fun with
8-pound,
it.
6-ounce newborn infant Jesus.
That's right.
My sister got my father a sweater that's got an RV and Cousin Eddie on it with a hose, and it says "Merry Christmas, Shitter's full."
Hell yeah! I love that. I almost got the Die Hard one, which says "Ho ho ho, I have the machine gun now." It felt like a little aggressive to like wear out on the holidays. I got this intentionally for a holiday party I have to go to.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, I don't know, it's a little bit of an aggressive statement. And I don't know if people even really will recognize it.
Connect it.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
I was about to ask that, right? Because that kind of solidifies it, right? That Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I mean, yes, I've always thought of it as a Christmas movie.
There we go.
I don't think I'm going to be the one that settles the debate, but it takes place at a Christmas party. It's clearly Christmas themed.
Time. He's getting home, trying to get home for Christmas.
All of these things are true. There is a reference to Santa Claus.
People try to say because the plot is not based around Christmas, but I would argue it is.
Fair enough.
You know, like
It is a it's subliminal.
Stevie.
It's what, you know, I don't know. The Christmas party is essential to the plot.
right.
So it feels appropriate, in my opinion, to call it a Christmas movie.
There we go.
Now, if you are somebody who is very traditional about your Christmas movies, you want something that is classically Christmas, that's fair. I'll allow it. Die Hard would not fall into that category by any means. So, yeah.
It's not like Miracle on 34th Street. But
No, it's not. And it's not like The Grinch or Rudolph or, you know what I mean, or Elf. It doesn't, it's not
I would
in
even
that space.
argue that Home Alone is kind of like Die Hard meets Miracle on 34th Street.
Yes. So if Home Alone can be classified as a Christmas movie,
Why
I would
can't
say
Die Hard? There
Die
we go.
Hard could be probably classified as a Christmas movie. Christmas is, to be fair, referenced quite a bit more often in Home Alone.
Yes.
I recently watched it, so I
Same.
know to the degree at which Christmas plays a role in that movie, but I can see the parallels between that and a Die Hard in the sense that, you know, it's not a traditional Christmas story at its core.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
That's what I would say.
That's what the Bad Guys from Bad Guys and Bourbon is.
That's correct. I would say it comes down as a Christmas movie. But my definition of Christmas movie is broad. I consider some of the Harry Potters Christmas movies. That's just my take, my opinion.
They could be. Yeah, absolutely. I saw that take.
Yeah, I had this conversation recently with somebody, and a lot of the shenanigans that the children get into while at Hogwarts actually take place during Christmas break.
Yep.
Because that's when all of the other students are home.
Yep.
And there aren't as many teachers about. So Christmas has always played somewhat of a significant role in those movies, at least in the earlier years. And I believe there's actually reference to Christmas in one of the last films as well. But to our bottle of the evening, we did not have one last episode. So this is a return to form. Milam and Greene, we've done bottles by them before. This is the straight bourbon whiskey. Something that I noticed about this in the store is it's not totally translucent. Like it's almost,
It's a little cloudy.
it's a little cloudy. I like the color a lot though. It's very nice looking, in my opinion.
What do you think contributes to that color?
Mold.
Yes. Yes.
What the fuck?
I was just waiting for it.
Mold.
Microplastics.
God bless us, everyone.
Save the turtles.
Our award-winning luxurious single-barrel bourbons celebrate a unique personality which can develop over time in one 53-gallon cask. In fact, this bottle is one of only 280 bottles available anywhere in the world. We hope you find the same magic moments sipping it as we did when we first discovered it. Well, that's pretty cool. So, 280 bottles, and this is
Really? That was it?
one of the 280 bottles.
Is it numbered?
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Hang on. The way I could be wrong on this. I read it as in each barrel.
Correct.
Only 200.
Yes,
But there
correct.
could be an infinite number of barrels. Like, isn't every bottle just
Yes.
of a
you
barrel?
mean 280 bottles per barrel?
Right.
So they could
Not
have,
necessarily that they only made 280 bottles and that's it.
yeah, I would think at that price point they got
Over
more.
time in 150. Okay.
Did you just shh?
Shh, stop it.
Did you just shish me?
Cut the shit out.
Let me go back to the sentence.
He's trying to tell us why.
do.
We're trying to go back to the source here, guys. Just relax.
Go ahead.
Because it could be misleading, and I like that we're starting to pick this apart. All right. So, our award-winning, luxurious single-barrel bourbons celebrate the unique personality which can develop over time in one 53-gallon cask. In fact, this bottle is one of only 280 bottles available anywhere in the world. So, I would say I understand what you're saying. That's probably more accurate to the point. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little misleading.
Yes.
The label is a little misleading, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's 280 of these in the world,
This is in the world, right?
which is what the sentence leads you to kind of believe.
That there's only 280 in the world,
Which
and we just happen
maybe.
to be able to buy
Right.
two
I
of them.
don't know.
And he had like 50 on
Yeah.
hand. I don't know.
Okay, on the front of the bottle, actually in relatively large script, it says bottled from one 53-gallon cask. There are no more than 280 bottles of this fine bourbon in the world. So that probably is a little bit more specific to your point.
Right.
I know it's just worded a little differently on the front.
Yeah, that there is not just one cask.
That there are many casks,
Yeah. Right.
which maybe make this not as significant. But in either case, we've had a couple of these on the show. We've always thought they were very good. Well,
Yeah,
cask.
nothing against them or the mold in it.
We're unraveling this even further. Cask
Yeah.
750.
Oh, there we go. Well,
there we
So
go.
we're,
Problem
we're
solved.
from Cast 750.
Yep.
Problem solved.
750. So there's at least 750 casks.
And each cast
If we do the math,
Yeah.
280 bottles.
But I think
so,
what makes single barrels special is that other barrels are just mixed together and funneled into bottles.
and that's what makes this show so special is it takes us so long
Yep. To read a label.
deconstruct the
To find out
labels.
what single
talk
barrel
about
means.
anything.
Anywho,
Yes.
it's Christmas time. It's
Yeah.
that time of year. And what is your favorite Christmas movie? I know you have some topics you want to get to, but just right off the bat here. Right out of
Favorite
the
Christmas
gate.
movie?
What's your go-to? Like, what do you watch every year?
The Grinch.
Which one?
The new one. The Illumination. one.
That's the one?
Yeah, kids love
That's
that
your favorite Christmas movie?
right now. I mean, it always kind of like
Of all time?
of all time. Ah, man, that's
Well,
tough.
that's what I said. What's your favorite Christmas movie? Not
Christmas
not
Story?
not of the year.
You'll shoot your eye out. That's a Christmas story.
A Christmas Story.
Yeah, that's
a classic.
That's like I used to watch that on Christmas, like
That's
every year.
That's middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real safe.
Like
I
you
like
just
it.
kind of, especially like being a young man, and then I was a boy once, believe it or not. You kind of empathize with him, like as he's telling this entire story.
Yes.
Because at one point we were all him throughout this story, like going to see Santa, and you can't have a gun, you can't have a BB gun, you shoot your eye out, and like sticking, debating if you're gonna put your tongue on that pole because it's really cold.
Okay.
And you see the movie and you're like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But as a mischievous young man, you're like, I should try it just one time. It's like putting your tongue on a battery or putting a paper clip in in an outlet just to see, like it's
Yeah,
nothing
sure.
wrong
Why
with
not,
it.
man?
Yeah,
Have
why
fun.
not?
Yeah, go ahead.
F it.
We're all still here.
Yeah.
Look, I'm fine.
Sounds awful.
As I twitch,
Sounds awful.
I'm gonna put a disclaimer on this.
I'm all right.
Josh, you have a Christmas movie in mind? Something that sticks
I don't
with
know.
you?
The go-to is always just Christmas Vacation. I feel like
That's a good one.
That's what
Yeah.
I was probably
That's a
going to go
good
with
one.
myself.
yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah.
Holds up very well, Isaiah. Do you have one?
For me,
Beyond the
it's
Grinch?
probably
The
so for me,
Illumination?
it's probably the Grinch. And Are We There Yet?
Okay.
Like, that was always one as a
Yeah.
kid. Like when it came out, I was a kid at Christmas
Yeah,
when that
yeah.
movie came out.
Hell yeah.
So it's always been a go-to for me. And for my family, it's This Christmas.
Okay.
That is like, that's my sister's all-time favorite Christmas
Really?
movie. The second it hits November, she's watching
This
that movie
Christmas.
Many times.
a couple of times a month.
Which Grinch are we talking about for you?
The Jim Carrey Grinch.
Jim Carrey Grinch.
Because there's 3
That one's
Grinches.
enjoyable.
There's 3 now.
Yes. Yeah.
There's that one. There's the Illumination one, and then there's the classic.
That animated one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right, man.
What am I talking about?
I don't
Sorry.
know.
I don't know. We were wondering the same thing.
Elf.
That's a
Elf
good
is
one.
my all-time. Like I'm total brain fart. Elf, man. Elf. Will
Okay.
Ferrell.
It was
Elf.
that paperclip in the receptacle.
Yeah.
did
No
it.
kidding. You went on, let's just take a second here.
Elf.
You went on a whole monologue about how that wasn't your favorite movie. Elf.
It wasn't.
No.
I did that.
I mean, A Christmas Story. You went on a whole monologue about how that was your favorite movie. Elf never popped up once. I actually
forgot.
said Elf earlier in the show.
You did.
Yes.
I love Elf.
All right.
Not that big on Elf. Love
He's
Elf.
not big on Elf.
I'm super huge Will Ferrell fan, and Elf is funny.
It's a classic Will Ferrell film. He does an
Yeah.
excellent job. I have Will Ferrell on the shirt right now. So respect.
It should come as a surprise to no one, but I just only recently saw Elf, like within the last
How
week.
Interesting. How did that fare for you? I have a theory about Elf in that it doesn't age well.
No, it definitely doesn't age well.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would have gotten the same, if I would have gotten maybe more out had I seen it 10 years ago.
So
maybe.
that's what I'm getting at is like, I don't know if younger generations, will they connect with it like our generation did?
Will Ferrell was
Because
super
it was
hot
so
when it
relevant.
came out.
Yeah, when that came out.
You know, we had the same conversation about Step Brothers. You know, a while ago, we watched Step
Yeah.
Brothers, and that was my first time seeing Step Brothers. And you, I think, were just geeking, and I'm like, okay, all right, he's got a drum kit, and his nuts are on it. Okay.
Like, because it's, I don't know, man. Like I'm such a, even in the streaming era, I'm a big, that is my type of humor, like the SNL, like sketch comedy humor. And I've been able to I just kind of kept that as a constant, like all throughout my life. So I follow these actors as they go and do like their own thing. Like I always watch an SNL alums movies as they come out. And as Will Ferrell was starting to like fresh out of Old School and Step Brothers and moving into his own thing, and then he drops a holiday movie with Elf. It's kind of like right on cusp of like his classic run, and he goes, so it's a thing. Like I don't know if younger generations will really appreciate it and really understand that humor, because you got to be in tune with like who Will is and like what he was doing.
Yeah, I think because for me, Step Brothers is an amazing movie.
That's incredible.
I mean, it's just as big as the Cali and the Wine Mixer.
God
But
bless. God bless.
strangely enough, that Elf came out in 03, where Step Brothers came out in 08. And 03, I was 6. Full disclosure.
Wow, you were, yeah.
But 08, I was, what's that, 11? So like that, I can understand Will
You
Ferrell
get the humor there.
at 11.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
And it's geared toward preteen. You find all the things that they're doing in that movie funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
So
yeah,
now
even if you don't get the context to a lot of the humor, the slapstick in it is still
Yeah.
hilarious for like, as you were saying.
Yeah. High marks for Elf for me. I enjoyed it a lot. Watched it this year so far. Big Elf fan. It's up there. It's up there. I get it. I get why it is.
When they get drunk in the mailroom.
Very good. Very good. A lot of like great moments in Elf.
So
Very
good,
good.
yeah.
Very good.
The children love the books.
God damn it.
So good. All right.
Carry on to your rant. You were going off in the kitchen earlier about some
was I
Christmas
talking
topics.
Oh, catering.
Oh, we were talking about food.
That was your one thing you wanted to talk about was Christmas food?
Well, Josh made a good point. He said he went to his sister's, right?
Yeah.
And they were kind of doing like their mini like Christmas thing, right?
Sure.
And then this also like talks about like Thanksgiving. When we did the Thanksgiving episode, we were talking about like Thanksgiving food.
Yeah.
And this is a 2-part kind of like rant. Josh was like, maybe we'll just like order Chinese food for like Thanksgiving. And for Christmas. And I was like, more people need to do that. Like let's get away from the traditional dinner. Right. And let's experiment.
Courtney, call it how you see it. Just say that these people can't cook.
I mean that too. Like, but I'm open to having multiple
Something else.
Yeah. Right. Like, example, when when I lived in New York with Ryan, his girlfriend is half Chinese. So she would do like, Chinese New Year's, like right around Christmas. We would have a Christmas type dinner. She would make like all this homemade Chinese food.
Yeah.
And that would be like our type of like Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
So like I'm open to like any type of like
So you just want variety.
Variety, yeah. Which also leads me to this thing, and I'm going to ask you. I want to kind of like remix this question because I think this is a very interesting question. I'm going to ask you the question first. So there's this thing going around my house right now.
Okay.
It's called a
COVID.
Elf on a shelf.
It's called a Blackfession, right?
A what?
A what?
Blackfession.
Slow
Like
it-
confession.
Slow
right?
it down.
Like a
Slow it down for us.
Right? It's like a confession. It's called a Blackfession.
You can slow it down
okay.
for our white ears.
All right.
Right?
I just don't want to misspeak later and then get canceled.
That's right. No, this is safe. Right? And it's basically like, what's your Blackfession? Like, what's your thing that you dislike that is culturally loved amongst like Black community, right? And my wife, like every Black person has one.
Yeah.
And I was like, mine is soul food. Like, that's my Blackfession. I don't like soul food.
Is this like a trend online
Yes,
somewhere?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I was going to say, if not, I feel like you could probably fire this up.
So I wanted to kind of like remix that. And I wanted to ask you guys, what's your white fashion?
That's fair. Before
Right?
we move on to that, put a little, like, define soul food for us, for you, just a
Okay.
little bit. Give us some of, like, the key pieces to soul food in your
You know what?
definition.
I'll take this one over because I have a big gripe with Courtney on these things because I just don't see it. I don't see it.
But
I
you-
don't see why.
But you like soul food
Love it.
by definition.
Oh, like fried
Now, do you guys have the same definition of soul food?
Fried chicken, mac and cheese, ham, collards.
Okay,
Like that type of food. I'm not in love with it.
Well, my big gripe doesn't necessarily come with you in the soul food genre.
Yeah.
It's the one specific thing that you don't like, but you don't like cheese, so I get it. But
I don't like it as a like even you can give me the like there are places in Baltimore County where you can get great soul food. And don't get me wrong, I've had delicious soul food. But if you sit me down and say you want soul food, I'm gonna be like, nah, not today. No thanks. We're having soul food. I'd be like, all right, I guess so.
Okay.
No.
And is that a thing that comes up on a regular basis? Like somebody will invite you over, or you're going to somebody's place and they're like, "We're eating soul food tonight."
No, like Black
Like
food
I would
is,
say, we're eating sushi.
yeah,
Black food is soul food. Like, like in most cases, you go to a Black house on a holiday, you're getting soul food.
You're
Yeah.
gonna get our holiday staples will be macaroni and cheese, collard
Staples,
greens,
like those are
green
the-
beans,
yeah.
stuffing,
Okay.
ham.
Right.
Depending on how far south you go, you might get things like cornbread pudding. You might get some
Exactly.
chitlins. You might get the fried chicken. Just things when you think about I'm going to a Black household.
Sure.
All the stereotypical foods, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't hate to say it like that, but yeah, you're gonna.
Now
get
this
those
isn't
things.
just limited to food. Like my my daughter, she was like her Black fashion is she never seen all the Tyler Perry movies.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of them, aren't there?
But she's like, I'm not.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm
it's
not a
kind of
fan,
that's fair.
right? You know what I'm saying? So
One would think it was fair, but
Is the expectation that you've seen them all?
kind of sort.
Yes,
That's the thing.
right,
It is
exactly.
Most,
Like
of,
that.
most of us,
Yeah,
if you haven't
okay.
seen them all, you've seen like 90%.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like I can say I've seen a good 95% of the Tyler Perry movies that have been released.
by accident too.
Oh,
whether by accident, on purpose, and the majority of the plays as well.
And he's still pretty consistent. He puts out like two movies a year.
man,
Like he was at a pretty high clip there for a while.
Yeah, he's
Any Medea movie, I've seen it. I've seen them all.
go. So with that, I wanted to ask you like what your black fashion was.
Mine is more. It's a black fashion, but it's also a Caribbean fashion. I don't like oxtail.
Ooh, wow.
Huh.
That's okay. Wow, you said that on air.
Damn.
I mean, I guess I said so. You don't like oxtail. Wow. Okay.
And you like oxtail.
I love oxtail. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And like oxtail is like the creme de la creme of popular Jamaican soul food, right?
Yeah.
Like that is it's jerk chicken and it's oxtail.
Like, yeah.
And I am not a big oxtail guy.
So you guys kind of get it, right? You get
Sure.
the framing
No,
of like
I'm tracking with you.
what's like
I'm with you.
super popular amongst your culture, like white culture,
Man.
that you are like, I don't fuck with that. You know what I'm saying? Think about it.
Dude, this is tough.
It's
Yeah,
really,
it's tough,
it's
right?
really tough. It's really tough.
I asked
Because
one of
I
my-
don't, hold on, sorry, hold
Go
on.
ahead, go ahead.
It's tough for me because I don't do things and go, this is pretty white.
That's true too. That's true too.
I can't, it's difficult for me to find something in my head that is stereotypically or even typically white.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
That's fair.
I have something,
Okay,
and I'm shooting from the hip here, guys.
go ahead.
So correct me because this might be not a white thing at all. I don't know. But when I grew up, I have like Midwestern parents,
All right,
real like meat and potatoes kind of family,
This is a white thing.
and
definitely.
like generally speaking,
Michigan is white as fuck.
yeah, dude. Generally speaking, now I've not eaten red meat in many years, but when I was younger, it was like well done was the only way it was done.
Oh wow, this is not a white thing.
That's not a white thing, I don't feel like.
First of all,
I'm sorry. I misspoke.
I prefaced and I said,
He
I
said he
don't
wasn't
You did.
sure.
No, you did. You're
I
right.
don't know.
No, not faulting you.
Okay,
That's
So-
fair though.
I'll say this.
you guys, you're
Nah,
culturally at large. You guys are well done.
So wait, so
culturally,
this
for
is layered
black people,
though.
it's
Black
well,
people love
it's
well done.
Or it's not
raw.
done.
Listen, it's like it's well done or it's raw.
When I think black people, I think Tyler Perry and overcooked steak.
Really though.
I don't know.
Black at large.
just kidding, guys.
At large,
It's a
no.
joke.
At large, black people, right, will say, "I need it cooked all the way through, well done."
Their favorite place. I
Right.
don't want to see no blood.
I take
Right,
all
no
right, I
pink.
take back my thing. It was just like I said, it was off the
Yeah,
cuff.
off the
dude.
top, yeah.
Off the cuff.
Yep.
I don't know. So you don't like well done?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I don't. I mean, do you?
No.
Exactly.
I am an
I
anti-
don't
I don't know. I didn't. I
I'm
didn't
an-
learn
I'm
this
an
until
anti-
I was able to escape the
Yes, yeah, you're right.
shackles of our black community.
But that is also I didn't learn. I always tell people like steak is one of my favorite things to cook.
Okay, yeah. And once you learn how to cook
And
it,
once you learn how to cook it,
and you understand
the
Yeah,
science. And I'm one
right.
of those people like
Yeah.
if I learn about something, I'm gonna learn about the thing.
Okay.
So like when I learned about cooking steak and how you cook it and this is what this actually is coming out of it and this, that, and the third. Like, okay, I want to try a medium steak. All right.
yeah, you start.
I'm making medium steak. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. They say you should eat steak like medium rare is like the perfect temperature for steak. So I'm like, all right, let me cook it myself and make it this way. And now I'm like, okay, they're correct.
Now I do got a good example for you guys because I asked one of my coworkers,
Okay.
and he was like, he doesn't like casserole. Like the whole idea of casserole to him is like, he's like, my family loves it, and every time I see it, I just turn red and I just hate it.
Casserole.
Casserole. I didn't know. Okay, again, like Ryan. Everybody knows Ryan was my roommate when I
Yeah.
lived in New York.
Okay.
White guy. You know what I'm saying? It's my guy. I love him to death. And he introduced me to a lot of culturally white things that I just was
Yes.
not, right? I had no clue about. And casserole was one of them,
Yep.
right? So I understood when my coworker was telling me about, he's like, he he can't even bring his.
He can't wrap his mind around
He
it.
hates it. He hates the whole idea of casserole.
So this is tough. I like casserole, so I can't go there completely with
But
him.
I was just saying it as an example
It
of a
does
thing
seem-
that's cultural thing. Yeah.
Is it a? But you're saying that it is a white thing culturally.
Absolutely.
I feel like I don't know what's going on over here. I have some research. Maybe
Would
you
you
guys
say
have,
that?
maybe
I
you guys have,
apologize.
maybe you guys have already been doing this research.
Go ahead.
I'm curious. I feel like, and this isn't. I don't know. I feel like by and large, like white culture food. If that's what we're talking about. Like, what is that?
I don't even.
Because I feel like we probably stole everything to an
Pierogies?
extent, right?
So
just the pierogies.
Like, what is so? Is there a thing that like is casserole uniquely like
I'd say so.
white?
in a sense,
Because I
yes.
learned you can throw anything in the dish and it's a casserole. In a casserole dish and cook it. And
Yeah, but
then
you could do kind of the same thing with like a.
green bean breakfast.
I don't know. With
what
like
is the
you
other
could do the same thing with like a slow cooker to an extent.
Yeah, but the different so like the thing with casseroles are every culture has its like one pot dish.
Yeah.
Has its
Yeah.
and
Shepherd's
casseroles are
you go.
a one pot, one pan dish.
Sure. A quiche.
Yeah. kind of sort of. Yeah. Like
Savory pies.
yeah, and things that come out of they typically label things as white foods that come out of obviously Europe.
Yeah.
And usually things that aren't like Italian food is usually like the one exception.
It kind of like lives on its own.
It lives on its own.
Yeah.
But normally Western European foods that can be seen as more bland and hearty meals.
Okay.
Just that come out of the places, the environments of where they're eating at.
Yeah,
So
sure.
there are things that would be considered white foods, like casseroles is the one that everybody bangs on.
That's kind of
knows,
that's
yeah.
kind of the front runner.
Yeah, casserole.
What I was gonna also say is, Josh, if you Google white foods,
That's what I'm working on.
like what's the top three?
That's what I worked on. Initially, I typed white culture food, and then I thought, I don't know about this Google search, and I moved to white people food in private browsing. And I get a lot of white people food being popular in Asian countries recently.
Really?
And that's kind of the hole that I've fallen down right now.
Because I would, I mean, not to like anything. I would say American culture food,
Yeah.
right, is like just, and, you know, we had this conversation. We kind of talk like American culture is pop culture, American culture, the food culture of America is kind of like,
hamburgers and hot dogs, baby.
yeah, you know, apple pie.
God bless.
Absolutely, two-time World War champs. It's kind of just like, you know, in lack of a better words, like white people food because
Yes.
it is American culture, right?
Okay.
Hamburgers and hot dogs, you know, like you said,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
apple
yeah,
pie.
I got you, I got you.
So, but
All right.
now Josh is saying it is super popular.
So, okay, it's super popular because of an online trend of, I'm going to read this. There's a new trend in China where people make food spiceless, white people lunch as a form of self-torture.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Quote, the point of the white people's meal is to learn what it feels like to be dead, but I've taken 2 bites and it's so bad it made me realize how alive I am.
Oh, what is it they're eating?
What are they eating?
What are they eating?
This picture has it looks like just a lunch meat sandwich basically.
So a sandwich.
And chicken, there's chicken and vegetables that they presumably haven't spiced at all. The article has a lunch meat sandwich as the top image.
Damn.
So I on this topic, I actually watched a YouTube video from a chef who's a researcher, and they did a video specifically on what is white people food,
Yeah.
and why white people cook the way they do.
Sure.
Seemingly lacking spices and seasonings and
I would
things
say
like that.
it's geographical too, like, right? Because
So
you know what I'm
the
saying?
definition that they gave was that it was a common statement amongst white people of higher society that the more seasonings you use, normally the more low quality the ingredients of food you use.
Yeah.
Which is in some cases it's true.
True, yeah.
But that's
I would say that would be true. Like if you cook a steak,
yes. If you use top
the
around,
way it's supposed to be cooked, you don't need steak sauce.
No.
Right? You don't need
100%.
All you need is a little salt, a little pepper, maybe some type of rub, and it's you let it cook with some, and it's fine.
100%.
But so I get that.
Just to the point being made is that white people who have always had access to higher quality ingredients, making the need for more seasonings to be less apparent. And that's what so like French cuisine is like considered the epitome of white people food. French cooking style and French cuisine is considered the epitome of white people food. Whereas
I love.
I mean, and if you think about it, most restaurants that are fancy white-owned establishments tend to favor bistro-style cooking, where there isn't much seasoning beyond salt and pepper, but they're using a lot of aromatics and things to flavor the food. And so you're sweating down your celery, your carrots, and your onions, and your garlic cloves.
There's education in the jokes.
And
That
you know
makes
what I'm
sense.
saying,
That
right?
makes sense.
So
I
like
get that.
when you go to a
I get
French
that.
bistro and like you're getting a pan roast and you're getting a nice beef au jus that is going to be made with some red wine and the fawn from the bottom of the pan.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is going to taste good because you're getting all of the flavors soaked up into the sauce and the meat is being cooked properly. So it's just going to taste natural but flavorful.
Natural and flavorful versus
Yeah,
dumping
yeah,
a bunch
yeah.
of salt.
Versus you
and
go
crap
to
and all
somewhere
that.
where you go to a Jamaican place or a Caribbean place and you get Indian food where curry is not curry seasoning, but it's a blend of seasonings, and every Indian house has their own different curry.
type of curry.
Yeah.
So
It's like you're
if
kind of
you
like
want
eating the seasonings almost more than you are
The food.
eating the food because the
Yeah.
food takes a back seat.
It takes a
because
back
it's
seat
more
to the
important.
flavors.
Because it's more important because the availability of the spices is higher.
My God,
Wow.
If people had like when Europe got sugar, they went crazy.
it's like the History Channel over here.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's remarkable, and it makes a lot of sense.
I expected you to say something like,
I'm gonna have to think about the white food thing. I don't know.
well, it don't have to be food. You know what I'm saying? You could be like,
Well, now we're just opening it up. It's really getting out of hand at
you
that
think
point.
about it. You're going to text
I'm going
me
to think about it.
on like
I'll get back
Tuesday.
to you.
You're going to say white
We'll bring
fashion.
it up in the next episode, or maybe I'll get to it in this episode. I don't know.
Think
We'll see.
about it.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think Josh is running a blank here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
I just thought that was it was kind of like kind of a self reflecting that I was like, I don't like. I kind of had an awakening. I was like, I don't like soul food.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
So-
I like a good mac and cheese.
I don't want to pose this question to like all of our friends and listeners who are like have like a culturally appropriate like home.
I
Like,
got you.
what's your thing that you are like? I'm like culturally like I'm against that. Like,
Don't do it.
I'm just not with that.
All right. I'll think about it. I'll get
Yeah.
back to you. It's great.
What we were laughing about a few minutes ago was that I was on the Southern Blues website because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to eat after this. They're open until 9, guys, so I might be able to swing it.
All right, okay, all right.
There you go, dude.
Good
Hell
question. Like, what is your soul food?
I don't get soul food out.
Like, what is
I've-
what? My soul food is probably Mexican.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So-
see the question you're
I see
asking.
what, yes, I
Yes,
see what you're
got it.
getting at.
So soul food is definitely subjective. We use soul food to describe essentially Southern cooking.
Something
because
that's
we know
right.
Southern
Right.
cooking is
Exactly.
really black cooking.
Yeah.
Also, it could be like what makes you happy. Like,
But
what
that's
is your
essentially what
favorite
it
type
is.
of
What
delicacy?
fulfills
Yeah,
your
what
soul.
fulfills
I think
your
it's
soul. Yeah.
Indian.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Where
a
do you
good-
go for Indian food around here that's like really knocking your socks off?
Kathmandu Kitchen.
Okay.
And their
Kathmandu.
lunch buffet opened right on Allegheny,
Yeah.
right near the office.
Kathmandu.
Yeah.
Kathmandu.
I've been.
Their lunch buffet just reopened. It's a great deal. The problem with the lunch buffet, it's got an excellent selection of veggie and meat. It's not super hot, spicy, because they need to cater to the
Yeah,
buffet
yeah,
crowd.
yeah.
But the last time I went in, I said something about it not being super spicy. He said, "Oh, don't worry about it." And he brought over like a little 2-ounce portion cup of just the spice.
Yeah.
And I put just a little bit on the tip of my knife, and it was maybe an eighth of a teaspoon that I just mixed into the whole plate, and that did it for me.
Just
that
a little
was
bit and did it? Wow.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay.
But it's so good. So great. It's just a little pricey in general. Every
I've been there,
Indian
I've been
place is a little pricey
We do.
recently.
I can't even remember the name of it. But right here in Pikesville, I'll get the name of it. I was going to ask you what your soul food is.
My soul food?
Yeah.
Man,
Subway veggie patty.
dude, Subway veggie patties.
And that's okay.
No,
That's okay.
I can really get stoked about like a good pizza. A good pizza hits.
Yeah.
I like Mexican food a lot. Don't get me wrong. I eat it a lot. It's tough to come across like a really solid pizza, in my opinion. And when that happens, it feels very special to me.
For me, it's probably a tie between breakfast food.
Ooh, breakfast is nice.
I love breakfast.
So you can eat breakfast any
time of the day.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. I
I
would
mean,
agree
you
with that.
know,
It's not, breakfast is underappreciated. Really.
It's something about having it when the sun sets.
And when I say breakfast, I mean like I enjoy breakfast foods from like cross-cultural breakfast foods. So not just American breakfast food.
Like an English muffin.
Jamaican breakfast is completely different than American breakfast.
I like that. Yeah.
I love breakfast food.
Period. Yeah.
Like eating in the morning is one of the, I think that's like one of the best things you can
So
do.
you start the day.
But barbecue. I love barbecue.
BBQ, baby.
And see, that's why that gets the whole thing about like American culture and American food being like white. Because you go down south and you pull up the Billy Ray's truck, that is banging. That barbecue is top notch.
Or like what I always tell people when they go to Jamaica. Don't go into a restaurant and get your jerk chicken.
Or go on the street.
If you see someone on the side of the road,
That's what you eat.
with a drum and it's smoking,
That's what you eat. Yep.
you stop and you eat his chicken.
Yep. You're going to have
Because
the rice in a big
It
little
is going
steel
to
bowl.
be good. It is going to be good.
Yep.
Where does barbecue fall into soul food? Is it like a cross section of those things?
I think barbecue is the one thing that brings black folk and white folk together in the South.
Because it seems like it would be kind
it's
of barbecue for whatever
cross-sectional,
reason.
yeah.
Like seems like USA, American.
It's just
barbecue.
USA, period.
Yeah.
Black American, white American.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all can kind of like stand around the
But I feel
pit
like
grill.
it really overlaps in a large way.
Which is a
with, like, soul
Baltimore
food.
thing, by the way. We can talk about
Pit
that.
beef is it is a Baltimore
Yes,
thing.
it is a
Okay,
Baltimore
all
thing.
right.
It is our barbecue staple.
Yes.
And it
I
comes
didn't know
from
that.
so the pit beef tradition comes from the pulled pork, the pit pork tradition.
pork, yeah.
Because back in the day, whole hog barbecue, which is what they do in the Carolinas, North
Right.
Carolina specifically, is a tradition that slaves would do around the holidays and special occasions because you wouldn't often get the better cuts of the cow or the better cuts of the
So they do
chicken.
the whole pig.
So you would do a whole pig because you could raise it and it was cheap and it could feed a lot of people. So North Carolina style barbecue is really a
pork
tradition that comes from
ribs,
slavery.
hocks.
But when the Great Migration happened, then a lot of people from the Carolinas came up here and they run out of money, so they stay in Baltimore, D.C. Get a little bit more money, and white
decide,
people catch
oh.
on to these cooking traditions. Pit beef becomes a thing. And it's a thing that's really local to us. Nobody else really does
I didn't
it
know it was like
the way that we do it.
I now you saying it makes sense because like if you travel in the South, you don't see
No.
pit
You get
beef.
pit beef. Pit beef here is like brisket in Texas.
Yeah.
It's our thing. Nobody does it like us. If you get it somewhere else, it's like crab cakes.
Interesting.
And football.
And football.
That's what Maryland does, I've heard.
Crab cakes and football. So it's interesting because this whole we live on the East Coast. Baltimore is not necessarily DMV, but it is kind of like try it's mid-Atlantic region, and because of that, we live on the coast. We do a lot of seafood and up and down the whole coast, starting with like Maine on down, they do seafood as well. But I find that the lump crab cake is more significant to Baltimore. And I you see online people like, oh, I had this delicious crab cake, and I look at it and I'm like, that's not a crab cake.
Yeah,
That's a
there's
Krabby
so many
Patty.
crab cakes, even in the United States, but across the world, everybody's got a crab cake.
Yes.
And it's drastically different from everybody else's crab cake.
Correct. And to be fair, there are other crab cakes out there that I would put in like the pretty good category that have they're
Really?
nice. They're just very different, right? Like a Maryland crab cake is kind of uniquely like Maryland. Like it's generally like, lump and like there's
Lump,
you
bit
know
of mayonnaise,
Old Bay, like there's a seasoning in there. Like
yeah.
there's
Old Bay,
there's something that's
Old
very
Jam.
And it's broiled.
I don't know if it's like uniquely Maryland per se, but it's just kind of the Maryland staple of crab cake. Like we just have come to know it as this one thing.
like even so much you can get it at like the wine merchant.
Yeah.
For like, in a
Yes,
to go home.
yes. But there are other crab cakes out there that are good. They're just very different. Like they're built differently and they're flavored and seasoned differently, and it's just a whole different thing.
All right.
But not bad necessarily. So let's follow up on this whiskey. You guys seem to be really taking a time.
Yeah, we
with it.
were just examining the cloudiness. Yeah, the turbidity.
Now, all of the bottles that I saw had a little cloudiness like that.
That
It
was the
wasn't-
question
That
you
was
just
actually my
asked.
question.
Yeah.
I was going to
Little
ask if the
dirty
one you
water.
bought was cloudy as well.
Yes. Yeah. The whole lineup was on like it was a little touch cloudy like that.
Builds the immune system.
Which is why I was kind of interested in it. I mean, like I said, I'm a big fan of their stuff.
Reservoir.
But I just
Right.
thought, interesting.
Yeah, it's but
It is a little
it's
dirty.
great.
It's very good, and I love the color of it. It looks like it's almost like honey.
It's
or
honey,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a very pretty looking. Aside from the microplastics, it's a very pretty looking
Save the
bourbon.
turtles.
Like it looks great.
We're not going to get canceled. We're just going to get sued.
That's right.
Definitely
But it is
should-
fantastic. It's another like very solid release from them.
Yeah.
Like it's just really
Good job. What are they called?
easy to drink, very flavorful.
Milam and Greene.
It's bright. Very like it's not overly sweet, but it's like it's a bourbon. You know what I mean? You're gonna enjoy it.
And I will say this: you guys know I'm a big Basil Hayden fan.
Yeah.
But Milam and Greene has taken it's like a 1A 1B type thing.
Really?
Like,
For you?
Because,
Okay.
because we haven't had anything from them that was even okay. It's all been
Very good.
very good.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay.
Some of the best stuff I've had,
right.
honestly, as of late. High marks. High marks.
Thanks. That's what's up.
But on to some topics, guys.
Let's go. I know
let's
I
talk about
tasked
some-
Isaiah
we
with
just
some
got
notes.
a couple, but
Pop culture.
where does the MCU go now that they fired Jonathan Majors?
They keep
This
going.
is a good question. I was actually a little curious about this because he's obviously the major like villain. He was going to be like kind of like the Thanos, if you will.
Yeah.
So Doctor Doom, like where do they move from here? In your opinion, like what would you guess? I feel like they've not set anything else up. So
It doesn't matter. I think from a character standpoint, being that we've established that I don't think we've seen the final version of him, which is a good staple, right? We haven't seen the final version of that character, and we have established with Loki
Of Kang, you're saying.
of Kang, right? That
So you're saying they could maybe replace with somebody else.
they're just going to replace Jonathan Majors with, because there's been a number of actors they've replaced in the MCU with a recast, right? Terrence Howard was Rhodey, and that
Sure.
was.
But don't you think because they canceled the name or like they pulled the name? Like they said they're rewriting it all.
I did see that they pulled they
You think
changed
if they were just
the
going to
name.
recast it, they would just like,
I think that's more of a precautionary measure.
Yeah.
I think they're just kind of like, all right, let's just kind of like. Also, with the statement that Kevin Feige made a couple months ago, like, we basically we're gonna go through quality control.
For sure.
We're gonna stop putting
they
out so
kinda have
much,
to.
and we're gonna slow down in putting out. They got one movie in 2024, which is Deadpool 3, now released by Marvel Studios from which they acquired from Fox, and that's like a Ryan Reynolds project. So
yeah.
I think now what this does is gives them the opportunity to kind of like hit the reset button and really evaluate like what they're doing. Like Phase 4 has kind of been all over the place, and I applaud the ingenuity and and what they did. Basically they had this oversight that we are going to infiltrate every type of genre with a MCU property, right? They have the sitcom type aspect with like She-Hulk and the horror with horror type genre with Moon Knight, and and so on and so on. And unfortunately, it kind of fell short to what we were familiar with the MCU, right? Like the MCU established with the Infinity Saga was everything leads to a final point.
Yes.
Right. And now we have a lot of things happening and they're not pointing to the final point. And I think that they recognize that. And with this happening with Jonathan Majors, it now gives them a soft way to kind of say, all right, let's take a step back. Let's look at where we're going. We can reset what we're doing, or we can just recast and move in a more intricate way. So yeah, I think they just recast him and continue on with the Kang character, and because that eventually takes us into the Secret Wars, which each time Marvel does a Secret Wars in the comic books, it kind of resets the entire universe. And I think that's what they're going at. I think eventually what's going to happen is they're going to end up resetting this entire cinematic universe and starting over again. And now you can recast an Iron Man. You can recast a Black Panther. And it's not looked at as we are erasing the history, but we're moving into another branch of storytelling.
Yeah, for sure.
We built upon this. This is what happened. It doesn't go away. We just move forward. So
yeah,
but that's what I think. I don't think that the Kang character is done. There's tons of guys you can. I've heard like John Boyega and them bringing back Idris Elba and Denzel, like those all kinds of names that they've been, throwing out there. They kind of want to keep him as, this black guy and whatever. And there's tons of like popular black actors that haven't hit the MCU yet. I would love to see Denzel kind of get his feet wet.
Has Jonathan Majors been officially removed from all future Marvel projects?
Yeah,
I didn't see like a release from Disney, but maybe it exists.
As soon as
the verdict came down, they
hours later, there was a press release, like saying, he's done. He's
What do you think he's doing right now?
Majors? Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough.
It's got to be a quiet Christmas.
It's because he was trying to and I don't know, man. I didn't really follow the trial enough.
The ins and outs of it all.
The ins and out. But it seemed like he was trying to prevent all of this from happening. Mm-hmm. And it kind of snowballed into this big thing. And ultimately, I don't know. There's just so much tied to it. There was, people coming out that, this is who he is and who he's always been. Then there's
a lot of people kind of jumped on the bandwagon after the initial story
then the audio stuff comes out. Then you see, I did watch the video and you see the video and he's clearly trying to escape her. So you're what is going on? It's just too much. It's too much. And I don't know, man. I wish this dude the best. I hope, he gets his life together. I'm never a guy that wants to pull. I always have positive intent. I never want to pull the race card or anything. And these are clearly two different companies. But Ezra Miller was out here going crazy and made the red carpet for The Flash, right?
That is a great point.
Yep.
It's just kind of different.
I don't really know. I wonder
what craziness can Ezra Miller do and have no repercussions
right.
whatsoever.
But what was ever the final thing that happened?
So that's the other.
I don't even know.
The other side of it.
That's the point.
Yeah, right.
We don't know what happened with Ezra Miller.
But is
He's
he
just
still
existing?
But is he still in anything?
I have no idea. They kind of brushed it under
DC,
the rug.
I don't need to go down the Ezra Miller rabbit hole again, but I know the Flash came out and was a thing. I think they had invested too much into the Flash and they wanted to see that across the finish line. But like, does Ezra Miller still have a DC contract or exist anywhere else moving forward? Has he kind of been scrapped? And are there any legal proceedings for him like pending, or were all of his like charges dropped?
Who knows? I have no idea. Josh, if you
Because I never heard of him being like
formally charged, guilty.
Well, not even like the formally charged piece. I just never heard of him be like going to court or really anything beyond.
So just searching Ezra Miller on Google, hitting news, the top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the top five hits are Jonathan Majors' treatment by Marvel sparks Ezra Miller comparisons. Jonathan Majors fired from Marvel's Kang Dynasty. Why didn't similar accusations sink Ezra Miller?
Was Ezra Miller fired?
So that's the thing, right?
Because the movie was already done.
Maybe his contract was up. There was no
Kang Dynasty
reason.
was already done.
A, we don't really know, and B, the question you asked, was he ever tried?
Yes, for
like
anything.
did any of this? Did any of these charges ever go to court?
Or were they just allegations?
And we don't.
Or
we don't.
Nothing.
Or was he even charged? Right, we don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
It's just
weird.
That I never want to like play that card. It's just
It is curious.
It's curious.
It is
that
curious.
This happens, and they're like, "Yeah, we're done with you," and then, kind of like heir apparent companies, the Flash they're just kind of like, just get the movie out.
I would have to think that they're moving away from Ezra Miller as opposed to towards him, but I don't know.
According to an article by on the Independent back in May, Ezra Miller will return to be the Flash if there's a sequel. So they're not moving away from him.
No, I know, but like,
What happened
I think
with
that
this,
could
like,
be
case?
that could be a political way of being like, well, if we ever
If
make
we ever
another
do it,
one, we
right.
would.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are.
Is he signed for anything still?
And
Is he under contract for anything still?
and
I don't know. Is the Flash a part of the new DC?
That's where I was going, right?
Thing.
I've seen like Aquaman 2 is supposed to release soon, and they're saying like this is the end of the DCEU.
Yeah.
And then whatever comes out after is the beginning of the what do they call it? Of
The DC, like, oh God, it's not universe, it's something.
Whatever James Gunn's version of the DCEU is.
Like, I wonder if they're they're going to like just cut ties with all of that.
I think that's
and
what,
just
just
bail.
be done with it all together. So confusing.
I don't know. That is, that's sticky.
I'm
tough.
in my brain. I'm thinking maybe the contracts was already up, and then whatever, we can just do this and be done with it. Because I know Majors had signed a contract for like a lengthy contract for like a number amount of movies.
Yes.
Also, this could be Disney doing like damage control, right? James Gunn was fired and brought back.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
So, we're not in those rooms. We're not in the.
I think I want to say the big difference here is that Jonathan Majors had a lot of runway ahead of him.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Ezra Miller was
Had
kind
none.
of, he was kind of
running out.
He was pretty much running out.
The plane
So
had not taken off
I
yet.
think
He was
I
like,
could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I would bet DC was like, let's just let this candle burn out, and because it's almost to the very end, and
Yeah.
we'll just get out of this.
yeah, he was looking
I
at
could
like
be wrong.
3 or
I mean,
4
yeah.
movies.
And I like, again, if it's weird that there was never any like formal charges or like trial or anything with the Ezra Miller stuff. That's very curious. But
Apparently he's chilling on his goat farm.
Oh, yeah.
I bet he is.
He
dude.
was charged and he did plead guilty, and he was sentenced to probation and fines.
What was he charged for?
For I just had it. He was charged for second-degree assault in Hawaii for that throwing the chair incident.
That was he was drunk at the bar.
Right. Yes.
Didn't he show up at a bar drunk and he got into a fight?
Yes. There was also one where he broke into a house.
Yes. That's it.
He was also charged.
That was like a felony. Like he was like
In March of 22, he was charged with disorderly conduct and harassment. That was the bar.
Oh, okay.
That was the karaoke bar on March 29th.
not a karaoke bar.
Charged.
Why a karaoke? I wonder what.
Guilty.
I mean, have you been to a karaoke bar?
Can you imagine doing like Montel Jordan's like this is how we do it, and then Ezra Miller throws a chair?
January 2023, Miller pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of unlawful trespass stemming from the Vermont burglary arrest, another arrest. As part of the deal, that dropped the burglar and larceny charges, Miller agreed to a $500 fine, 1 year probation, and random drug testing. And to
So
continue
he was
mental health
charged guilty in
treatment.
a number of things and still got his movie out.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, 100%.
But the movie was already coming out.
It was already
the
coming
movie
out,
was
yeah.
already made
Yeah.
and
It
was
was-
already
yeah.
coming out. So I think for DC, and they got, I mean, DC had, they don't have, my opinion is they don't have the cash or like the backing that Marvel does. So I think that they were like, we have to get the Flash out.
The last thing that I will contribute to this, and I don't think it's going to change anything, the statement from Disney in all of the sources I found have not cited an official source. They've cited most of them cite an anonymous source that can't be named because they don't have
Saying that they
authorization.
split with
so
Jonathan Majors.
they haven't released an official statement saying that they've split.
Because that's what I thought. I feel like I hadn't seen anything official, but
Right.
They may be waiting to see what happens with the just with the sentencing.
maybe. That could
too,
be.
possibly.
Right? He
But-
could just get probation and they're just like, it's a slap in the wrist, whatever.
The real question would be is if like Kang Dynasty or whatever, or like the big tentpole film was coming out in 2 months, would Disney still release it or would they not release it? I would say they release it.
They release it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what ultimately happened with The Flash and Ezra Miller.
I mean, I don't know, man. People change, bro. Like Robert Downey, the entire MCU was built on Robert Downey Jr. had just got out of jail.
That's
So,
different though, because he was
you
kind of
know,
like on the come up. I feel like Jonathan Majors was kind of like shit was getting piled on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, like, we give people second chances.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
So-
he'll find a way back.
Right.
It's not like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I say he'll get the Gale King in.
I'm not trying to say
6
that
months.
he didn't do something awful. Maybe he did or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's not, I don't think that he like murdered anybody. So I think he's going to get like his second chance. I think he'll figure
at
out.
some point he'll return. He'll do.
Yeah, he'll find
I
his way
think
back.
legitimately he's too good of an actor not to get another chance.
Yeah, he'll figure it
He'll
out.
lay low for a year. He'll pop up at the Cannes Film Festival.
He'll be in some A24 thing or something.
Yeah.
And people have this thing with celebrities. Chris Brown, right?
If you
has
do
done
something
some crazy
great,
shit.
people will forget.
Kanye West
I
has
was-
done some
dude, I
crazy
was just going to
shit.
bring up Kanye West.
I mean, it
All of
happens.
them.
Any celebrity can do some crazy shit,
And
and then they're back.
they're like, oh, it'll see you again. I mean,
Hi, Mark.
Army Hammer eats people, red carpet.
True. Wonder where he is, dude. But you've thoughts on the whole? We got to wrap up here.
We got to wrap.
Soonish. We're
Such a
coming
good
to the
episode.
end. Kanye.
You can't just
I mean,
say
he popped
his name
up,
and
dude.
look at
He's
me.
been like out and about.
He does this, man. He
He's
does
been
this.
out and about.
Apparently he's not black, man. He's the
He's been
Indians.
TikToking from what is he in Dubai? Where is he at?
I don't know, man.
What did the young lady say something to me? He was like, "You better shut up before I exile you from this."
Yes, Jules.
Dude,
He said you better shut up before I exile you.
I exile you.
his rants are pretty wild.
There was, I think, I don't know where I saw it because I'm not on Twitter, but it was a tweet, and it was like, wouldn't be an album release without Kanye West going crazy.
That's his thing, man.
Yeah.
When he's about to drop an album, he resurfaces and decides, you know what? I'm not taking this Lexapro this week. We're gonna go outside and see what happens.
That's right.
And that's what he does, man. Like, clearly he's borderline with some type of disorder, and when it's album time, he puts those shelves in the medicine cabinet and says, "Let's go outside."
Kanye back.
I think it's to what Josh said. It's when you can do things that have an emotional response with people, and Kanye puts out music that always
Connects with people to an
connects with
extent.
people and can pull some type of emotional response from you, right? He did a gospel album that charted as like a top 20 rap album.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, and it was good. I wasn't like a big fan of it, but it was good, right? So if he is to come out again and the music is good, it's like, is he really hurting anybody by just being a little nuts?
I don't know.
Well, the issue,
know.
the issue is,
I'm not comparing it to, the Chris Brown thing that happened like 15 years ago with him and Rihanna. Like, I'm not going to get into the, semantics of like what that was, but like.
Yeah, because it's an interesting contrast because I don't think Kanye is unique in the sense that he really has just been kind of his words have probably been what's the most damaging, right? Like he has just said some pretty outlandish things.
Super wild
But I don't
stuff.
think that he's ever hurt anybody, like physically, right?
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
never been charged with like abuse or anything or what are you looking at
I
here?
feel like this is part of his persona, okay? Where he walks around, the photograph I'm showing right now
is that Kim?
is no, him and Bianca.
Yeah.
Bianca,
in
his new wife.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 days ago. Kanye walking around where everybody clearly knows it's Kanye, right? Because she's not covering up. She's
Yeah,
all,
correct.
Yeah.
the kid's not.
Is-
and
has the-
Kanye is here pulling his hoodie as tight
Acting
as
like
he
he's not
possibly
real.
can.
Yeah.
Right, correct.
Like we know it's you, bro.
Right.
Is the South Park episode out where they show like they talk about like him, like
They've talked about him quite a lot.
acting
Which
like
one?
he's not him.
Oh.
Like I know there's an episode for it.
I do really like the fish stick. you like fish stick?
It's so good.
Who's not going to get this joke? Kanye West.
So
God
good.
damn it. All right. That's kind of a wrap, dude. We've gone for an hour now.
What are you gonna eat after this?
What am I going to eat after this? Probably. I mean, I ate before this, so
What are you gonna eat, Josh?
I think I'm good with where I'm at.
I think I'm going to do Chipotle.
Me too.
Yeah.
Say.
It's
Isaiah said you don't like cheese, and I thought, I love Chipotle cheese.
love a
It's
little-
a Chipotle Christmas, guys.
Yeah, that's right. God bless.
I miss those. I miss
Chipotle
those.
These not
cheese does. It is nice.
It's like a cheddar jack or something like that they use blend.
It's yeah. I want to say
it's,
Monterey Jack or something like
Asiago,
that.
I think.
It hits.
Yeah, it's like
delicious.
Asiago Monterey Jack.
Whatever
I like
it
a
is.
little spread.
So nice. So nice.
All right. Well, this is our last episode before Christmas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas, man.
So Merry
Yeah,
Christmas
cheers,
to you
Christmas.
guys. Love you guys. Love doing this.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
Happy birthday,
Sorry,
Jesus.
party's
Until
on.
next year.
Sorry, your party's so lame.